Welcome back to BCR. My name is Stuart. Today we are going to be looking at these things here. These are Shimano GRX sub brake levers. So these are designed to go on top of your drop bars here to interrupt the hydraulic system from your brakes. So they're specifically designed for bikes with Shimano hydraulic brakes on a drop bar. I've never fitted these before. I didn't even know they existed. However, some people asked me the question in my last video that I did on mechanical versions of these. Some people don't like them. I get that. You're entitled to your own opinion. However, some people want to know how to fit these, and that's what we're going to cover in this video today. I've never done these before. I didn't even know they existed until people asked the question, so it's a new one to me as well. So let's stay tuned and see how it's done, hopefully. So as I say, I've never fitted these before. I didn't even know they existed. I thought they probably would, so I did a bit of research and found them. So GRX are the levers that fit, and that's what we're going to do. And as I say, I get it, some people don't like these things, and that's fine. But just don't bombard the comments, oh, stupid things, hate these things. It's fine, some people want to know how to do it, and so do I, to be fair, so that's what we're going to do today. Right, so I've read the instructions online. Shimano have quite a comprehensive manual on this, on how to fit them. I don't think there's any videos out there at the moment, so this will probably be the first. Basically what we need to do is unwrap the bars to the lever to get access to the hose first of all, and then we take it from there. Don't like unwrapping bars, however this tape is in pretty good condition, so I think we'll be okay. We just need to remove this finishing tape first and peel it back to the hoods. So let's do that bit first. We're not going to wrap the bars today, we're just going to unwrap these hopefully, like this. The tape's in good condition, it's just this end here. But it's never ideal, like I say, if you are going to install these, then I would recommend doing it at the same time with changing your bar tape. Alright, so the reason we took that off is to get access to this nut here. We'll have to cut this tape off as well. When I got these, I thought basically all you would do is cut this hose in half here and connect it to the middle of the lever, but the instructions ask you to remove this section of hose, connect the lever to the hose going backwards first, and then put a new piece of hose going to the lever. It kind of makes sense when you see the angle of the ports. So that's what you need to do first, is just remove this hose and cut this tape so you can get the hose out. If you've got something with like wireless Di2, this would be even easier because you've only got one, basically the brake hose. You've not got a gear cable to worry about. Same on this, like there is a gear cable. Just peel all this off. We'll start again with some new. We'll focus on the right hand lever for the video. We'll cover them both, but we'll go into detail just on one side because the other side's exactly the same basically. So that's the lever there. So they're asking you to have 38mm of 31.8mm bar available here. So obviously the bar tapers in. So where before it tapers in, you need 38mm of bar. That's to support this piece here. I've already measured this, we've got more than enough. So all you need to do is basically put this lever onto the bar and clamp it to its final position and then take it from there. So the ports are here. Sorry, one port in and one port out going to the brake itself. So it's pretty straightforward. Obviously you need to bleed the system as well. Right, so we basically just need to drop this on where you want it to be and tighten it up to its permanent position is what they're asking for. Like I say, I've never done these before, so it's all new to me as well. Let's get this bolt started first, because otherwise it's going to be a bit difficult upside down. It's a 3mm there. Tighten it on the smallest piece of the bar. It's just going to be easier, because these can go in at funny angles sometimes. So once you get it started, it's easy. So drop it down to where you want it. Obviously you don't want it dead level like this. Brake levers should always be sort of facing down slightly. And we do need a bit of space. So this piece here does need to go against the bar though, like this. Basically, so you're going to need to go quite far in. The hose comes directly out, so there's no real danger of them sort of fouling with each other in the middle. So you can pretty much put it in the middle for now. So that's going to be like that there. I say just make sure it's in a comfortable position when you're actually sitting in your riding position. It's going to be a one finger thing anyway. It's a tiny little brake lever. So this is the UK, so it's the front brake. So this is the brake hose here. So we basically need to interrupt that going backwards first. Don't worry about it going into the lever because they give you a new piece of hose for that. Obviously you don't want to get the bit going back to the brake wrong because you'd have to connect a complete hose all the way through the frame, etc. then. So you need to get this bit right and then you can connect a new piece. This might be long enough, but we'll try it anyway. But they do give you a new piece if need be. So I'm going to spin the bike upside down so it's a bit easy to see what I'm doing. So I've just took the wheel out and we're just going to take these pads out, but this screw is pretty damn tight. These have got a real bad habit. The ones with the slot heads like this, a real bad habit of seizing up. Is moving. Just go really easy with it, otherwise you'll end up drilling this out. Obviously you can't put penetrating iron on it because you're going to cover your brake pads in it, so unless you're replacing the pads obviously, then you can do what you want. Take your time. Let's cut in there. If you've got these Shimano brakes with a slot headed screw here, get them out, or at least give them a half a turn, make sure they can actually move, because if you leave them there for a year, 2 years, I'm telling you, they're going to be seize solid. They're a nightmare. So get some anti-seize on this thread here. Push these pads in, put a bleed block in before we cut the hose. Bit of a mess, this is. Once you've got them back in, just push these. Be really careful because these are ceramic pistons and they're so easy to crack. Just push them back in like that. This is a Cushcore tire lever, and I find this really good for this. Just be really careful. Right, they've gone in. So if you crack these pistons, basically it's a new caliper. However, there are some replacements available. I've ordered to try as a bit of an experiment. There'll be another video though. Right, so just put that bleed block in there for now, that's fine. Right, so we're upside down now. So this here, this is the brake hose that's going to the front brake basically. So this is the hose we need to cut to go into this port here. So this is basically coming in from the lever. This is going out to the brake. So this is just a rubber bung at the moment that needs to come out. Like that. We're going to need to straighten this hose up to get the angle correct. So we need to take it out of the lever. So it's just an 8mm here. You're going to start to lose some fluid here, unfortunately, but it's kind of inevitable. Can't get that on there. So an 8mm, if you can get your flare nut on, great. If not, then just a normal spanner's fine. So then we just disconnect this out of the lever. Should just pull out. Like that, so that's out now. Right, so that will go into this brake lever here. So you need to put a mark on here where it's going to enter. And that's entering the lever there. So from this mark here, you need to put another mark, 18mm there, and that'll be the cut mark. It doesn't need to be super precise because we've got a little bit of flex in this hose, obviously, to go backwards. But the roundabout there is going to be our cut mark. I use a Jaguar cutter for this. Just make sure you're pretty much there. You will get some fluid out, but it's only mineral fluid, it's not DOT, you're not going to melt the paint, so don't worry about it too much. It'll just clean up, no problem. So that's our hose cut there, around about 18mm. I'll say you've got slack in this hose anyway, so it's not super critical to the millimetre, but get it somewhere close. So in the kit they give you a load of new olives and a cover for the bottom of the lever, so we're going to use these BH90. So it's a small rubber boot that goes on the hose instead of the usual one that goes to the lever on mountain bikes, just a smaller one. Then your flare nut obviously goes on there. Then we need to put a barb and olive into that. So normally I put the olive on first because sometimes it gets a bit tight when you put this barb into here and you can't slide it over here. I think this one will be okay, but just get that in there and we'll press that in. You get yourself one of these little barb tools. These are very cheap on AliExpress. They're all the same basically thing. So basically the barb will go through a pin in this, clamp the hose onto there, and then this just screw this handle in. It'll push this barb into the hose then. Dead easy these are. Just keep going until it's flush and then just stop. Like that. That's in basically. Undo that. And that's ready to go into the lever. So once you've cut your hose, drop the olive into the lever, make sure you get it in straight. Get it out if you can't, it's easy. Start this nut in here like this because it's difficult to get it in straight with the hose connected. Right, that's going in straight. Now you can drop your hose through there. You'll feel it seat into the olive. Like that. And then we can just tighten this down. So the length of this hose looks really good there. That's the boot that covers it. Now we just tighten this nut down, basically. It goes to around about 5-6 Newton meters. If you want to use a torque wrench, I know how they feel. Pretty tight. You feel the olive basically start to go and bite in there, so that's pretty good there. And that's on. And then this boot will just cover over there like that. So they do give you a new piece of hose because obviously this piece is way too short now to get in there with its 18mm. This is a new piece here, so we'd basically do the same again with 21mm on this end, 18mm on this end, and get the length right as well. So we don't need this, but we do definitely need this nut there. So what I'm going to do is just going to do a rough measure up like this. The hose will sit along the front of the bar with the gear cable. It's going to sit into about there like that, so the mark will be around about here. So what I'll do first is I'll terminate this end with a new barb and olive, connect that back into the lever, and then again we can measure this up to that length there. So I'll just press a new barb into this, same again. We've got a completely open hose at the moment, so we don't need to put any other bits on it just yet. Just press the barb in there. It's going to go back into the brake lever, so obviously a new olive in there as well. Like that. I'm not going to fully torque this just yet, just enough to hold the hose. Push down as far as you want, and you'll feel it stop dead anyway. That's the other end we're going to need to measure again. I'll just snip that up now. The olive has started to bite into there, so it's not going to pull out. And then we'll tighten that back up later. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a piece of tape around here to hold these, basically where the permanent position is going to be together with the gear cable. That will just enable you to measure the hose slightly more accurately. We're not going to wrap the whole thing, just this piece here to keep some tension on it. That's basically where that's going to sit. And then again, we'll follow this new brake hose here around to the lever. Pull that out, and then we can feed this new piece of brake hose around to the lever where you want it, sit on the bar. Again, mark it to where it goes into the lever. Going to be around about there, that's not going to be far off. And then we add an 18mm to the end of that again, same we did last time. If anything goes slightly long, if you get this bit wrong, you're going to need a bit more spare hose, but it's not the end of the world. So that's cut to length now. Again, just bottoms out in there quite nicely, and make sure you're comfortable with where this sits on the bar. I think that's still a fraction long for me. The hose sits along the front of this lever, so that's a bit too long. I'm going to chop a bit more off. Just keep going until you're comfortable with it, just don't chop too much off. Alright, so that'll sit quite nicely in there now like that. So just take your time and make sure you're comfortable with where this cable and hose is going to sit when you're finished. And then we'll just terminate this. See, I've cut quite a bit more off than what I initially measured. So the boot will go on there, the nut will go on there, olive on there again, and another barb. And just push that in again. So this could be a bit tight getting this in, so I'm going to just drop this olive back into this lever first. Right, so to get that thread started in there, then you can push this in through the olive, you'll feel that in there, and then tighten that up. So they don't give you much room to get a span on here, you'll struggle to get a flare nut on there. So just tighten that down again until you feel it biting in. That's good. Put this boot on here again. Just tighten this lever one down that I've not finished tightening yet. And hopefully the hose stays reasonably untwisted. Okay, so now we can put a bit more tape around here just to hold these bits out of the way where you want them. Once they get holding on there, okay, so around about there. Well, it should be okay. So that's it basically installed now. We do obviously still need to bleed the system and wrap the bar and fit the other side. So let's crack on with that. Just notice it's actually got reach adjustment on this as well, so you can pull this out a little bit more. So not bad actually. Let me just try that for you. Just push that in or out, and you can adjust the reach of the lever there as well. Definitely a one finger lever. Good size of these, are tiny little things. But I don't think they're going to get in the way. I actually quite like these. Also, I don't know how much demand there is for this, but I guess on a touring bike or something like that, where you're on the top, say you don't want to be constantly on the drops, these would be actually really helpful. Right, let's see how well this bar wraps. Again, it's definitely not ideal to re-wrap a handlebar, but for the purposes of this video, you get the idea. Right, so that's basically wrapped back on. I say it's never ideal to re-wrap your bar, but that's not gone too badly. Right, we'll just move on to the other side. So these levers were purchased from their channel sponsor, Sport and Leisure, who actually have them in stock right now at a really great price. Sport and Leisure are a UK-based cycling retailer with thousands of parts, tools, clothing, accessories ready to ship. Their listings are clear, proper descriptions, really good pictures, which I really appreciate after dealing with some not so great sites that, well, you know. Most importantly, they don't drop ship. Anything that's actually shown on their site is in stock, so it's ready to ship basically the same day. And if you order it before 3 PM, it'll ship the same day. Free delivery in the UK. All orders, incredible. But if you actually need it faster than that, next day delivery is just £2.50, again, UK. So whether you want some GRX sub-levers like these or just topping up on workshop spares, check them out. The prices are often lower than my trade costs, honestly, which is just, I have no idea how they do it. It really is saying something. So they've also given me a discount code for viewers. So if you use the code BCR10 at checkout on your first order, you'll get an additional 10% off these prices. Links in the description below. Thanks again to Sport and Leisure for supporting the channel, and now let's get back to fitting this other lever. So the fitting of this one is basically going to be exactly the same, obviously. So we do need to obviously unwrap the bars, bolt the lever on, measure up the hoses, connect that, and then after I've done that, we'll get back to the bleeding. So just give me 5 minutes, I'll get this one on, and then we'll bleed them both up. So both on and handlebars are wrapped up quite nicely for a rewrap, so it's just time to bleed them now. So I'll show you the front one on camera, I'll just do the back one off camera, so it's exactly the same. So yeah, let's bleed the brake. So we just got to locate the bleed port underneath here normally. It's either here or here. They all tend to be different. Let's have a look under here first. Yeah, she is just there. Just fold this back. It helps keep it out of the way then. And this will be a 2.5mm. Make sure you get a tool that fits in there really nice. You don't want a worn Allen key in these because you've got one shot at this basically. If you start rounding these out, then you've got big problems. Just take that off and make sure the O-ring comes with it as well. You need to fit a bleed cup. I only use Shimano plastic bleed cups on these. I don't use the metal ones because I'd rather snap a bleed cup in half than I think very expensive lever if I accidentally catch this. The ones with the metal stem here, like I say, there's a good chance that the lever is going to snap instead of the cheap bleed cup, so that would be bad. So I always use plastic Shimano cups. So that's on there, and now we just go down to the caliper and connect a syringe. So for the bleed kit as well, I use just the genuine Shimano syringe and the genuine Shimano hose. This fit in here fits really nicely in the caliper. That's why I use that. There shouldn't be that much air in here. All we're trying to do is move the air that was in this new sub lever, if there was any. Just load the syringe, turn it upside down, and get rid of this air. You don't need to get every single bubble out, it will come through the system anyway. Then just lock that off, then we can go to the caliper. And it just pushes onto this port here. It should have a rubber cover on it, but it looks like it's long been lost. That goes on there, so that metal pin just locks in there quite nicely. And all we need to do is just loosen this off half a turn or so, like that. And that's open now basically. And we'll go to the bleed cup. And then just pump that through, and you'll just see the air come out of the sub lever. There you go. And that's pretty much it, one bubble. Squeeze this lever now, see if any more come out. Just keeping a little bit of pressure on this syringe while I'm squeezing this. Pretty much nothing coming out of there, so that's good, that was easy. So then you just put in the stopper back into that bleed cup. Just a rubber stopper, seals the system at the top, and then we'll take the syringe off. Then we just tighten this back up, just nip it up. Take the syringe off, and you can just take that off. And very carefully refit this screw. You're not over tighten this, let me show you. Just needs very little torque. Look, I've got a finger and a thumb on there. That's enough. Okay. Wipe any excess fluid off. It is only mineral fluid, baby oil. Basically, that's done. Push this back on. Make sure you get these bits to clip back into the housings where they are, and the lever hood will sit in quite nicely then. Good. So because the bleed block is still fitted, this lever should feel very firm. And it does. Absolutely beautiful, that is perfect. So when we put some pads in there, that'll feel just like a normal one. So that's basically it. Done. Like I say, on cable operated ones you can find a little bit of slack in the cable here that you need to balance with barrel adjusters, but on the hydraulic system obviously it's hydraulic, so it can't be any different. They have to be the same basically. So put the pads in, put the wheel in, and then I'll just do the rear one off camera and we are done. A little bit of anti-seize on this thread here, just a tiny drop. Just tighten that up. Again, these don't need to be very tight, they're just a retaining thing, they don't hold your caliper together. There's no thread on the other end, think about it. That's it. A little safety retaining clip goes on the other side like that. So that's fitted, get the wheel in now. Just drop this in. Again, a bit of grease on this through axle as well on the threads, so you do seize quite badly. Just don't get it on your disc. Any excess off. Just pumping the lever very fast. That feels good now. Right, so that's back in. That feels nice. One finger again, and the other lever, the original lever. These pads are a little bit on the low side, so the lever travel is a bit long, but nice and solid. So what happens if you squeeze this one? This one's basically solid, and vice versa. If you squeeze that one's solid. So they kind of, you can use one or the other. So I'll just do the other one off camera, and then we are done. So these hideous things are fitted. Some people absolutely hate these things, but I actually quite like them. So not too bad, as long as you can bleed brakes, then it's pretty straightforward job really. All you're doing basically is inserting that new piece of hose, connecting those and bleeding the system. So they aren't the cheapest levers in the world, but I'd say use Sport on those, you'll get 10% off there using BCR 10. It might make it slightly more affordable for you, but again, people are doing touring and stuff like that. I think these are going to be ideal for those if you've not already got them. Or for gravel bikes, obviously it gives you another hand position on your bars. Use them on road bikes as well if you want. Anything with a Shimano hydraulic system. Won't work with SRAM, won't work with DOT system. Purely for Shimano. So I hope you did enjoy that. Maybe you're going to get some for your bike. Let us know in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching.